Hello, everybody, and welcome to EverQuest. Today is another day in our quest to conquer the heroic adventures of EverQuest and Norath. So, I'm your host, Dandin Mindfire, and today we're going to be talking about mercenaries and how to use them effectively and how to keep them a part of your party. So, first things first, let's teach you on how to summon one of them. So, go to any mercenary vendor. Oops. You'll see them underneath their name. It'll say Dark Elf Mercenary Liaison, or any of the races that are available to be played can be mercenaries. So you just go up to one of them and you right click on them and you'll be able to pull up a window here that allows you to summon them. So up in the top left corner here, you'll see a little drop down menu between Apprentice Mercenaries and Journeyman. So everybody has both of these. Now, Apprentice Mercenaries are almost useless. So we'll go to Journeyman, and everyone around you will be able to summon up to Tier 1. There's a couple quest lines in the Seeds of Destruction expansion pack that will allow you to get Tier 5 mercenaries right off the bat. Or, if you're a heroic character in level 85, you can do the one in the Ferrot. Very simple, takes about 15 minutes or so. So just go through that quest line, you'll be able to summon yourself the highest mercenary in game, which is Journeyman Tier 5. So, the basics of it is, you grab the highest one of the tier that you want and make sure that you're taking a look here that it summons the right one. So in this case, I want a Journeyman Tier 5 healer. So I'm going to go down here, look for it. So there we go. Should be this one, I think. Come on. Okay. So once you selected the right one, click higher. They'll be generated with a random name. They'll pop up here. There she is. Wow, this video lag's kind of terrible. So you'll be summoned with your mercenary here. A mercenary window will pop up right here, which I already had up, which will have the stances, the assist types, and hotkeys, and all this fun stuff. So let's go through that window here, and we'll talk about what they do. So first things first, we'll go into stances, because this determines how your mercenary is going to perform in group in combat. So the basics one goes, so you got balanced, which means that they're going to essentially work almost as good as reactive. They're not going to care as much about their mana, but they will still care. Like, they will stop healing if they're low on mana, which, if you have a tier 5, is pretty rare, but it does happen if you're chain pulling. Efficient, the stance here, they will only care about their mana, so if they feel that they're low on mana, they won't heal you. And then, of course, you have reactive, which basically means that they're going to react to the group around them. For healers, they're going to react to your hit points a little better. And for a tank or anybody, that's probably the best stance, because they're going to heal a hell of a lot better than normal. And then, of course, you have, your passive stance, which means they're going to literally sit there and do nothing. While they're in passive, they won't charge you platinum. So if you're going to go AFK or anything like that, they're going to sit there and they're going to do nothing. They're not going to charge you any money. They're going to sit there and look pretty. So there's that. If you can also set hotkeys to the different ones. So click this button here and I'll set a hotkey. And for those of you that like using a lot of super macros or whatever, you can use this command line here, /stance, and then the name of the stance that you want to switch your mercenary into, and that will be good to go. You'll also notice above the set active key, you'll be able to choose how they assist you. Auto assist means that as soon as you enter combat, so as soon as there's a NPC on your extended target window, your mercenary is going to jump into combat. You can change that into call assist, although especially with healer mercenaries, I don't necessarily recommend that, because that's another button you have to hit to turn your mercenary on. Sometimes with tank mercenaries, that does come in handy, as tank mercenaries tend to be a little bit trigger happy, and they'll run around and grab everything that they possibly can. And they will honestly try and hold aggro off an entire zone if you let them. So then we have the set owner tab. So if you have a friend in your group that doesn't have a mercenary, you can literally transfer that mercenary to them, provided that they meet the same roles. So for example, if you have a Journeyman Tier 5 mercenary and your friend doesn't have all the progression done, you cannot set the owner of that Journeyman Tier 5 to that person. They have to be able to meet that requirement. Okay, So just keep that in mind. Then you have the info tab down here. You can click on it. It'll tell you how much your mercenary costs. If you go to the top of the window here, because I was scrolling through this earlier to see what kind of information, it'll tell you like the race, the type, the confidence, and the proficiency. So confidence is directly related to proficiency. So if you have a journeyman tier 1, they'll have like medium confidence, I think. And confidence basically means like how much confidence they have in you as a player, in you as a group. So let's say if you have a low confidence mercenary or a medium, if you pull like 5 mobs, your mercenary will actually run away. He's like, I'm out. You don't pay me enough for this. Like I'm out of here. So basically, he'll run away and will literally do nothing for you if you overwork that confidence. So if you don't have a journeyman tier 5 merc, just watch the size of your pulls, how many mobs you're bringing into camp on the regular, because the worst thing that can happen is you've got 3 or 4 NPCs in camp that you're fighting, and your mercenary says, I'm out, and he runs away. So keep that in mind as you're going out, and you'll do quite well. But as the quest line to get the journeyman tier 5 is not that hard, I would highly recommend to all new players that you go out there and you get that. Because mercenaries, they're useful. They definitely do have their place in this game. Although, I'm just going to put this out here right now. As a veteran player of this game, as somebody that's seen all the classes in action, a mercenary does not even come close to meeting a real player. So if a real player will always do more damage than a mercenary, they'll always do more healing, they're more valuable than anything. So don't be one of those antisocial players that just fills up with boxes and mercs, because you're not going to be as effective as the guy that fills his group up with real players. In addition to that, there's also an experience bonus that you get for having real players in your group. So the more real players you have in your group, the more experience you get. So if you have 6 real players, you cap out the experience bonus, and it just works better that way. You get an experience bonus, plus you get all the different benefits of having a real player. So what other types of mercenaries are there? Well, let's take a look. Let's go into the switch tab here. This tab exists for everybody, although most of you won't be able to use it unless you go into the station cash store and buy one of them. So I'm not going to plug that store, as they definitely do that quite enough on their own websites and stuff. But this is one of those items in the station cash store that does come in handy. Having an extra mercenary slot to have a different mercenary style or type is nice. I mean, obviously, as you can see, I have all of them. And it does come in handy to be able to have something in your pocket in the off chance that one of your friends needs to go log out or whatever, and you're not quite done a mission or whatever else. You can fill pretty much any slot with a mercenary. So let's talk another type of mercenary, which is the bane of my existence, and that is the tank mercenary. Honestly, these mercenaries for tanks, they have stances as well. So let's go to manage. You have aggressive, which is pretty basic. They're going to run around. They're going to try and get as much aggro as possible. They're going to literally try and hold aggro on multiple targets at once. Assist means they're going to act kind of like a DPS class, and they're just going to assist the main assist, and they are going to just kill whatever you're killing. Well, now we're talking main assist in group roles. Let's get into that here a little bit. So if you're the leader of your group, you can right-click on any member, go to roles, and you can set a variable different roles. Okay, setting the main tank on your tank, the person that's taking the most damage, tells the healer mercenary to watch him closer. So, and they'll heal him a little better. It'll also tell the DPS mercenaries or other people to assist that individual. So you always want to have these 3 roles set. You always want to have main tank, main assist, and puller. Mark NPC is kind of useless, doesn't really come into handy unless you're crowd control like me, and we'll get into that in another video. So I usually set main tank on the tank. Sorry, video lag a little bit here while I shoot. I'm not really quite sure why. I just updated my drivers, so it shouldn't be doing this, but it is. And then main assist. So basically, when you have the main assist ring, let's target me. Come on. So the basics of it is it puts a nice, it tells everybody in your group that they'll be able to see that ring. They'll be able to see, okay, this is the one we're killing. This comes in handy in groups. It'll help you focus fire with your DPS classes. Everybody will be able to see that and be like, oh, this is what we're killing, right on. It also tells the tank mercenary what to focus on. It tells your DPS mercenaries who to hit. And it's just the best kind of way to be rolling around in a group is to set your roles and to be smart about it. So now that we have that kind of understood, another thing that's really important is setting the puller role in your group. So if you have a puller that's running around grabbing mobs, bringing them into your camp, set that puller role, and it's really important that you do so because let's say a tank mercenary or a DPS mercenary, for example, if you don't have a puller role set, your mercenary will follow you and they will engage in combat like outside of your safe zone, your camp. So essentially, you want to make sure that you set yourself as puller because they'll stay behind. But if you're the puller mercenary and your mercenary does get out of position, just set him to passive, take the puller roll off, and get out of combat for a couple seconds. They'll literally warp back to where you want them to. Set yourself as puller again and turn it back on, and you'll be good to go. Then we have DPS mercenaries, and DPS mercenaries are pretty basic. They're pretty easy to use. They're one of the types that's like set them and forget them. Let's go to melee damage because I usually use casters and I haven't let this guy out of his cage for a while. So melee DPS mercenaries are obviously the best bet for you if you are a shaman or something like that. They're the best for your class. So think about that as you're running around. You know, what mercenaries work well with my class. You know, if you're a healer, if you're a cleric, you don't want to have a cleric mercenary. You want to have a tank. Okay, but we'll get into that in a second. So they have their own stances too: balanced, burn, and passive. One quick note: if your mercenary is on burn and they're a DPS mercenary, wizards have the same stances. So if your wizard merc's on burn, your melee merc's on burn, they do not care about aggro. They will literally do whatever the hell they want to do. They will just blow shit up. And it's hard for a tank to hold aggro off them. So make sure if you're going to keep your mercenary on burn, that you let your tanks know to pull that aggro up a little bit. Because mercenaries are quite fragile. They will die with aggro, especially with the wizards. And there's that. So again, you know, your basic stance, balance, they will be a little bit smarter on aggro. They won't get as much. Burn, they'll love the aggro. They love it. And passive, of course. Same basic idea as the other mercenaries, right? Same basic commands. They respond the best with roles set again. And now that we've covered all the different types of mercenaries and all the different stances, let's take a look at mercenary AAs and gear. So let's open up your oops, that's my bandolier. So go into the AA tab here, if I can keep that window up for me right now, and you go into mercenaries, okay? Every type of mercenary has their own style of AA paths to go into. So healing acumen for healers, right? So the best bet for this is as you're killing, you're going to get mercenary AAs. For each class, there's really one type of mercenary that works really well for them. For channers, there's two. But it's best to sync your AAs in the mercenary that you're using the most. For me, I use the wizard DPS mercenary the most for my box crew. So I've sunk all my AAs into him. And there's different stuff like spell resistance obviously makes him not get as much hit for spell damage. Mystic Destruction makes him hit harder. And Silent Arcanum, which I should have bought a long time ago, makes him not get as much aggro. So for those of my friends who are watching this video who laugh at me every time my wizard mercenary dies, see that? That's Silent Arcanum, 0 out of 8. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, basically you can benefit your mercenary by spending the AA points that he's going to get while he's in your group and whatever else. So you can take a look at that. And yeah, the basics of it is your mercenary gets experience while traveling with you. When you kill stuff in a group, your XP is split evenly amongst the group members, and of course your mercenary is taking a chunk of that. It was recently that SOE decided to give, something for us to spend that on. All right, so now that we've covered mercenary AAs and the different stuff for that, we can talk about the gear. One second. I just got to answer this. All right, so let's talk gear for a second. Go to the Mercenary tab on your inventory window, and you'll see you have 4 slots: head, chest, primary, and secondary. And obviously they have lovely gear here. They've got hit points, mana, endurance, blah, blah, blah. They have the same basic stats as you do, and of course, the gear that you put on them, the stats, like, look, this only gives 2 hit points regen and spell damage, so, like, yeah. They're not really that great, but you get this gear by doing heroic adventures. So do those in the Call of the Forsaken expansion, and you'll be able to be good. Sorry, I'm trying to have a conversation while I do this, and it isn't really working out for me. So, the basics of it is, let's talk about what mercenaries work best for what class, okay? If you're a tank archetype, this is a no-brainer. If you're a warrior, you're a shadow knight, you're a paladin, you want to have a cleric mercenary in your pocket because, well, let's just put it to you this way: you're getting your butt kicked in EQ, and you need to have a way to heal yourself. So keep that in mind as you're going about your day. If you're a melee DPS class, a healer is also really good, although you can switch it up and kind of make your friends feel all random if you have another melee DPS in your group. If you are a support class, okay, like let's say you're a shaman, you're a bard, or you're an enchanter, the best way to go about it is to pick the mercenary that you support the best. So for channers, obviously, we support casters the best. For shamans, you guys support melee the best, so you guys want to have a melee DPS or a tank. For bards, you can kind of do it either way. Holy crap, I'm lagging so bad. So, as you can see, I'm embarrassing myself in front of Manaroth right here. But the basics of it is, choose a mercenary that you feel is going to affect you and you're going to use in your group, because while you're soloing out there, you're moloing or whatever, it's gonna be beneficial to you to have all the different types of mercenaries at your disposal. If you're a boxer, if you are the type that plays more than one character at a time like I do, have a mercenary that kind of represents all the roles available to you across all your stuff. So yeah, it'll be good to go, and you'll be set and ready to roll. So one last thing, you guys, I've noticed this problem kind of occurring as the game progresses, and since this expansion's come out, a lot of people have started just grabbing mercenaries and going out there by themselves. Yes, this is a valid tactic. Yes, whatever. However, guys, real players trump mercenaries hard. Like, a real rogue will make a rogue mercenary look like garbage. A real wizard laughs at wizard mercenaries and laughs at the people that use them as a good baseline for DPS, guys. Even an enchanter can out DPS a wizard mercenary. So use a real player 100% of the time. If you see a player that's looking for group in the group that you're at, grab them, man, because you know what? I mean, it might not be too long before you're that guy that's sitting there saying an out of character and shout, looking for group, looking for group. And how would you feel if nobody dropped their mercenaries for you? So use that, take that into consideration. I mean, yes, mercenaries are cool, but guys, a real player always over a mercenary. And that concludes today's video on mercenaries, and hoping to get another video up today if my computer will cooperate with me. Sorry about the slow speed on the uploads and stuff. I've been a little bit busy in life, and you know how it is. And that will be everything today, and we'll see you guys next time.